Welcome everybody to day 23 of my daily vlog challenge. I thought today we would have a little bit of a rummage around my rucksacks because I have quite a collection, as you will see, and I know that a lot of people have a bit of a kit poke around, so I thought, well, here's a good a day as any. I'm not able to get out today, feeling a bit rough, so I thought, well, let's have a little look at my collection. I'm actually going to just go straight the way through because I'll be here forever if I start to try and expand too much in all of these. But as we've gone smaller up to the bigger rucksacks, so actually this probably isn't the smallest, but it's the smallest pack size. 25 litre foldable rucksack. I took this on my charity trip. It's perfect because it's a really good day sack. I would say it's water resistant rather than waterproof. Fine for mountains. Downpours questionable. Definitely wouldn't put it in a canoe, which is what I did, and it got wet inside, thoroughly soaked. However, I absolutely love this. We'll be doing a review at some point. One of the things I like about the Decathlon rucksacks is a lot of them have thumb loops, and that leads me on to the next pack. It's not a rucksack, but it's something that I carry a lot. It's the pouch. I wish this GoPro would just carry on screen so I can see that it's poking anyway. Enough faff. So it's got a map, the map reading version. It's where I carry all my camera equipment. So that'll all be in there, and also you can hang it onto a belt. It's got some kind of webbing, so it wicks away moisture really well, and it's got all these clips. And what I find with the Decathlon bags, going back to my previous point, is they hang on to the thumb loops really well. So on this pack and some of the others moving along, they really do marry up well with those. Whereas on the others, you're trying to use the hydration straps, which are weaker, or you're trying to do some other area like on the sternum strap or something. This is a new edition, $6.99 from Decathlon. It's 10 litre pack, very simple, has a side pocket for a water bottle, a small pocket here, and the main compartment. What I like about this is it was cheap, perfect for pootling around rear. That's the bag that I took. It's got still some kind of backflow airflow system, which I really liked. Very comfortable, and again has those thumb loops, which is great for marrying up with some other kind of camera kit. This rucksack is really old. This is the Nero Axiom. This is my bike pack. I'm not sure how many litres it is, probably about 8 if I had a guess. It's got a hydration bladder. I've had this probably about 20 years. It's got your typical features that you would get in a bike rucksack. It's got all your, let's see if we can actually go in here. Just doing this one hand is hilarious. Well, I mean, have a look in there. It's all where you put your gadgets for your bike stuff. So that's my bike rucksack. Specific. I bought that years ago for biking. This is the Low Alpine Aeon ND16. This has been taken over by Rab, and I love this pack. This is the one that I use quite a lot on my day walks. It's a perfect size of just pootling around, and it's got a decent foam back. I really like this. Adjustable, fits a hydration bladder, very strong, hip belt pockets. What could a woman want more? However, one of the reasons why I've got this pack, this is the Decathlon, I think it was $11.99, 20 litre pack. It's got some half decent features for a cheap bag, but it's quite simple, and I liked that. So this one looks really like I'm going for a serious hike. Same with this one, really, the red one. But this one is for, like, if I'm pootling around don't really want to look like a hiker. It doesn't have a hip belt, but it does have a sternum strap. And again, it's got these thumb loops, so I can still use all my camera kit on the front. And it's got space enough to put a tripod on the side. So I feel like this is quite a nice little pack if I'm going to be going for a little walk around. The only thing is, I think the back length is quite long, so I'll have to see how I get on with that, because I've not used this very much. I only got it a few days ago, so I'm looking forward to using that. This is the same rucksack as the black one we've just seen. This is the Low Alpine Aeon ND25. The only thing to say about this range since Rab's taken over is the back length is very different. So the newer ones won't fit me because I'm really quite a small back size. Say that quickly. And so it just means that I wouldn't get this again. Not that I need to. But I couldn't recommend this for short torsos because they've completely changed the back system so that it doesn't fit me anymore. Moving swiftly on. This is, I'm getting tired, you could tell, can't you? I'm getting out of puff just trying to talk through these. So this is one of my favourite all-time packs. Let's change the view a bit. I do love this. This is a quirky rucksack, to say the least. So here we have the Tempest, the Osprey Tempest 34. It's extra small, so it does lose some of that literage. I think it's like 32 litres you're going to get out of it with the extra small version. It's got the stretchy pocket, the typical features you'd expect from a Osprey pack. Turn that around. It's got the Escape back system, which again is a flat to the back, but has a foam that's really quite good. It's got an aluminium, I think. Well, it's got a metal frame. Can't say it's aluminium, I don't really know. Stow on the go pole, which is great, either for a tripod or anything. This kind of weird pocket here. Never quite know what I'm going to put in that. Hip belt pockets. All the features, singing and dancing. The quirky thing about this pack is that it's got this triangle. Bear with. So it's got this triangle opening, like a bucket shape, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get on with it, to be honest, in the beginning, but actually I really like it. Yes, we'll move on. So this is interesting because this is the Osprey Cirrus 36. Got this second hand. It's got a very different back system, so if you compare a bit to this one, so the Tempest, that's designed to be more lightweight. This has a really sturdy Airscape, it's not Airscape, what's it called, Airspeed back system. It's adjustable like this one, but it's got a trampoline style back, so you can see that really nice gap there. And what I find is this is really rigid, so you're going to get an awful lot more support than you are from this one, potentially, in terms of how it feels. This feels a lot more stiff, which has its pros and cons. And what's really interesting is they've both got a very similar litre capacity. However, you can fit way more into that simply because of the way that it the features it has. So you've got this lid that's quite big. The pockets are a bit easier, I think. You've got straps at the bottom that you can hold a sleep mat or something like that. So even though they're very similar, they're actually very different. So as much as you can say, oh, Osprey rucksacks are they all the same? These two are a really good example of how different you can get from the same capacity. So if someone wants to say to me, oh, I want a 35 litre rucksack, I would be asking, well, what do you need it for? Because I would use this mainly for overnight camps for the summer. I haven't used this much yet. It's going to be mainly my summer trip bag. But it does have a waterproof case. This one doesn't. Very different type of lid, obviously. Whereas this one I've used mainly for my winter trip, so this is really perfect for when I go to Penny or if I'm doing a winter or day walk where I need that extra capacity, but it doesn't feel like it fits a 35 litre. It doesn't when you wear it, and when you're using it, it's more like a 25-30 litre capacity, it feels like, just because it's the way that it's built and the way the zip goes up. I'll be doing a separate review on these and a better comparison perhaps in the future, but I just thought it was interesting to highlight that as we were going through that although these are very similar capacity, they're very different rucksacks. So goodbye. I use that the most, to be fair, and this is really good for camera kit because it's got the easy access, whereas this is a bit more faffy but a bit more supportive-ish, if you could say that. Moving on, so we're not far, guys. This is also in the Tempest range. This is the Tempest 50. I took this on my charity trip. Again, because it's the extra small, it's actually got 48 litres of capacity. I really like this bag. I found it really comfortable on my trip. I'm really glad I didn't take a huge rucksack, but it was still quite beefy, really. It gave all the support that I needed, even though it's a more of a lighter weight version within the Osprey range. I still find it really handy and supportive. I do feel like with the Tempest range, the modern ones that I've got, people talk about them as if they are like monkeys that cling to your back, and I just feel like with this particular model, it is like a monkey that clings to your back, but it needs to eat more spinach. It doesn't feel quite as a good fit. I think you have to really faff with the Velcro adjustments to get it just right, whereas the previous Talon and Tempest rucksacks that I've tested in the past decade, before I've actually got one, they just seem to fit that little bit easy. You didn't have to faff. All I will say is it's worth the faff. I feel like these are still really good rucksacks. It is just that within this Tempest or Talon range, I think the modern ones just feel a bit more bony. It just feels like the monkey's lost a lot of weight. So it still clings to your back, but just be aware that don't give up if you're in a shop and it goes, oh, this doesn't feel quite great. Faff with the adjustment, and I'll often will pack it up or leave and think it's just right, and then I'll get to wherever I'm going to, whereas oh, it's not quite right, and then adjust it just a little bit and find, oh, that's better. So I've never had any blisters from these packs, but I can imagine if some people might review these and go, oh, it's not as comfortable as previous ones, and I kind of would agree, but I think it's just worth persevering, getting that fit just right. But it is Velcro and you feel like you get your hand scratched like a cat. So not only do you have a bony monkey on your back, but you feel like you've also got a cat that's attacked your hand because it's got the Velcro. But otherwise, moving on, we have finally my Kite 66. I do love this pack. The reality is though, it is slightly too big. It's the small version. It again, it has the Escape back. Find that absolutely fine. I love this pack, millions. I would be tempted if I was doing a long distance trail, say in the summer, whereas having less layers, I'm going to notice the size being that little bit too big, because when you've got layers on, it thickens it all out so you don't notice it so much. However, I think on a summer trip, and if I didn't want to take this one because the capacity might not be quite large enough, I would definitely get another Kite. The newer ones are quite different again. You do find this with Osprey packs. They do say, oh, it's Escape, but actually they've made quite a few changes. But one of the great things is they go down to an extra small. So I do think I would get on with this. This is way more robust than, say, the Tempest range. If I was going over abroad, the coach driver was a bit rough with this pack while I was on the trip, and I've got a little hole in one of the pockets. I think it's this pocket here is just a little bit fragile, and yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's got like a little hole in already, so I'm not too happy about that, because I was looking after it. So it's a bit more precious, this, I think, whereas this doesn't have as many precious or weak areas. It does have mesh pockets, but they're on the side and on the front. It's got mesh at the side here, but actually the main bit is really quite tough material. So apart from the size, I really like this pack. So I will use this for while camping, bigger trips. I will never sell this, even though it's a bit big, because it's just too practical. It completely opens up. See if I can do this one-handed, bear with. So as you can see, I've completely undone the front here. Now I'm not sure if all of the kite versions do this anymore. I think some of them will have side zips, so you can still easily get in. But it's one of the reasons why I won't just go, oh, let's get another kite that actually fits properly, because it's okay for doing, say if I'm going away, a base myself somewhere trip, where I've shoved a load of stuff in. I might have a day pack as well. What I'll do is I'll get somewhere and I can open this all up, and it's a bit like a suitcase. So this is really good for travel, very versatile, and I've loved it. I've absolutely loved using it. It's just a shame that it's a bit too big, and I think for a long distance trail, it's just not a good idea to have a pack that doesn't fit properly. You'll just get injured. So the only rucksack that I've not got here to show you is my Autofox Hort. I think that's what it's called. A friend has borrowed it. She is in the Canadian Rockies, and it's a really good winter alpine kind of bag. So she's got that for her trip. I love Autofox backpacks. They come in, they're small versions, fit my torso length, and there are very few climbing technical rucksacks that do that. And when I did ice climbing, I used to have the Peak Dry. I did get rid of that. It's a very expensive rucksack, and I wasn't using it. I knew I wasn't going to be doing ice climbing. Completely lost interest in all of my outdoor activities when I was in my late 20s. And I just never thought I would do it again, so I got rid of a lot of kit. And I don't regret getting rid of that one, because it was quite specialist. I think it was a really good ice climbing bag, because fully waterproof. It was 500,000 milliliters, or whatever it stands for, in the measurement of water resistanceness of packs. It was robust as anything, and I really like the fact that it just was waterproof straight out. With ice climbing, you get quite wet, so I think I really like that. There was no faffy straps or things to get caught on. It's just a very nice pack. But again, I got rid of that. But with the Hort, what's really good is it's still quite a multifunctional bag, so I could still do ice climbing if I was to do it again. I could do rock climbing in it. I could do all sorts of sports. It's got so many different straps. You could do ski touring, you could hold a snowboard, snowshoes, all sorts. Because I just found skiing a bit dull. I mean, all you're doing is going down a mountain, and I just like to have something a bit more sparky in life. And so I liked having a pack that's just got that bit of variety, and so I kept that, and I'm so glad I did. But obviously I don't need that right now, and I was happy to lend it out to a friend and she gets back in the autumn. So hopefully by the time that I actually do a proper review of all these bags, and a bit more coherent and organised in my thoughts, and give some top tips on torso length and how to go and buy a bag, hopefully I'll have that back and we can have a good old chat through, because it's one of my favourite bags. But yeah, out of all of these bags, I think I obviously use the Aeons really a lot. You'll see a lot of my videos that have these in. They're really good for my localised walks. I'm really glad to have the Decathlon smaller bags that still have some functionality but just don't look like I'm going on a long hike. Sometimes when you're pootling around the countryside, or if a local park, I don't really want to be looking like I'm about to ascend a mountain. So it's quite nice just to have something that doesn't have that hip belt and is it still has some features. So I'm looking forward to using those a bit more. In terms of overnight camps, I mean, all of these rucksacks I've used, I've used all of them apart from the Cirrus, which I got second hand. Most of these I got second hand, or I got very cheap in a sale. I say cheap, they're not cheap, but you know, really a lot of money off. I very rarely pay full price for anything. I will wait. I will know exactly the rucksack that I want, that I'm aiming to get, and I'll wait until it's in the sale. But you have to be careful that you don't wait too long, because for example with this kite bag, the next season, the next model was actually quite different and came in different sizes, so you don't want to wait too long. But if you know what you want and you can find it in a sale, I do recommend, or you can look online and find stuff there. I think that's all I'm going to say for now. Yes, I do clearly love a good rucksack. Do bear in mind, I'm 40 years old and some of these have carried me along for a long time, so I've not just suddenly decided, right, I'm going to buy 12 rucksacks. I don't think I've got 12 here, but I've got quite a few. And there is always one more if you're not careful. I do feel like sometimes like, oh, but I don't have this particular rucksack. But the reality is, these will see me through most things. And once I get my Autofox rucksack back, I feel like I can do some more winter stuff a bit easier. So I'm surrounded by rucksacks. I'm so comfortable here. Hope that's been helpful. And I'll see you next time.